Ajax v Feyenoord, 1997. Some of our viewers have asked for some foreign stories because they know very little about overseas football hooligans. So here's a story of a legendary encounter between two powerhouses of Dutch hooligan scene, Ajax and Feyenoord. These two firms have always hated each other, coming from the two biggest cities in Holland, Ajax from Amsterdam and Feyenoord from Rotterdam. Although only 40 miles apart, the chasm between the two firms is immense. Ajax call their rival fans cockroaches, and Feyenoord call Ajax fans Jews, and generally support Hamas and Palestine. Their matches are generally policed by thousands of riot police. Such is the determination of the two firms for a bust-up. Only Den Haag, the Millwall of Dutch football, have a similar reputation to these guys. Unfortunately, the day ended with the death of lifelong Ajax supporter Carlo Picornie. Several people were arrested, but no one was ever charged with his murder. This is the story of events leading up to this awful moment, as seen by the people who were present. First, we have Ajax F-side member Willem, not his real name, who told us, Ajax F-side started around 1979 in response really to the British hooligan scene that every Dutch wannabe hooligan followed regularly. The Dutch battles against the English were already the stuff of legend. So although a few years behind English clubs like the ICF and Bushwhackers, we were already starting to gain our own reputation, certainly in Holland. We called ourselves F-side because we were from Block F of our stadium, as simple as that. Our most legendary fight was with Feyenoord, of course, who also have a massive firm. In those days, you had to pre-arrange a time and a place to fight because the police were all over you, inside and outside the stadiums. What with CCTV everywhere, the top firms arranged these fights away from the stadiums and the police. No weapons, just two firms clashing. I think Britain should try it. It certainly sorts out the men from the boys, that's for sure. Anyway, it's 1997, and we arranged to meet at Beverwijk, which is about an hour's drive from Amsterdam. Feyenoord were playing away somewhere, so it was handy for both firms. But because they were playing away, they had all their top boys there. We only had a few top boys present. We met at a field just off the motorway, with about 300 of them and only 150 of us. The pre-arrangement included an agreement to not have any weapons, so naively, we turned up with no weapons. Feyenoord arrived and had an assortment of weapons, big knives, baseball bats, hatchets, etc. So we knew we were in big trouble. But there was no way any of our firm could back out now. It would have looked bad, so we decided to fight. But even our fight was bad strategy, with fighting in groups whereas Feyenoord fought as one. Our first group got slaughtered, and then our second group got badly beaten, which left me with the last group. We tried to fight them off, but the die was cast. We turned and ran. That's when Carlo got killed by Feyenoord. He was caught and fell to his knees. His final words were, "Okay, you won," before he was hit round the head with a hammer and then stabbed in the back by Feyenoord cowards. They knew what they were doing and they knew who he was, but that's how Feyenoord fought. Total cowards. Before that day, I had respect for Feyenoord. Now I hate them with a passion. The newspapers called it a black day for Dutch football. I agree with that, absolutely. 6, Feyenoord went to court, but justice for Carlo was never achieved, and I think about him every day. It makes you wonder if what you are fighting for is worth it. Is it worth it? Not for a life, it isn't. Feyenoord SCF, Sporting Club Feyenoord, member Dirk, not his real name, told us. The fight at Beverwijk came about because of a previous fight where Ajax had to run away from us. Then they moaned that there were too many of us, and they only ran because they were outnumbered. We were on our way to an away match in a convoy of cars and minibuses where we had to drive past Amsterdam. I noticed a large group of men in a field just off the motorway, so we all stopped. It was Ajax. We stood at the metal barrier and banged our weapons on it to attract their attention, and they started to walk towards us, menacingly. We climbed the barrier and walked towards them. I was hoping they wouldn't run this time, as I wanted to show them who the top firm was. I was carrying a bottle, and others had a variety of weapons. No one had swords or machetes, as Ajax has since claimed. In the distance I could see police car lights flashing, but they never actually appeared until it was all over. As F side came towards us, I could see them split into 2 or 3 groups, whereas we stayed in a tight formation. Some F side were beginning to have second thoughts, and were lagging behind the others. Suddenly someone shouted, "Charge!" So that's what we did. We caught them by surprise and battered the first group, then we turned to the second group and slaughtered them. The fighting only lasted minutes, and the rest of them turned and ran. One of their main boys got bogged down in the mud and was on his knees, so our boys punched and kicked him to the ground. He had previously stabbed one of our main boys, so some of our guys wanted revenge. 3 of his mates stayed to try and help him, but they were overpowered and had to leg it. Once I saw he was beaten, I told everyone to leave him be. Then we walked back to our cars and drove off. Later on the radio, they said there had been a large fight involving football hooligans from Ajax and Feyenoord, to which everyone cheered. But then they said someone had died. I knew straight away it was Carlo. The minibus went silent. This wasn't meant to happen. No one should die at a football match or meet up. That wasn't the purpose. But he wasn't an innocent victim. He was one of Ajax's top boys, someone who had a notorious reputation and had stabbed one of our guys at a previous match. Some of our boys called him a nutter, but still, a very bad day for all involved. We never wanted anyone to die. 6 of us were arrested but never charged with the murder, much to F side's disdain. They have never forgiven us, and rightly so. It's created a very nasty feeling between the 2 firms. There has been a lot written and said about the incident since then, and most of it lies. We never arranged the fight over the internet and didn't phone each other for the meet. It was just an on-the-day event. I think I have said enough. A very bad day. We thank Willem and Dirk for their recollections of what was obviously a traumatic event for both firms. It's clear that Ajax's F side was overwhelmed on this occasion by a bigger weapon-carrying Feyenoord firm. I'm not sure why you would trust anything a hated rival firm would tell you, but I'm sure F side ask themselves that very question every day. But Feyenoord lose any high ground by their terrible assault on an apparently defenseless rival. No one should die or get serious injuries just for following their team. This site does not condone serious disorder or violence. We just report the events seen by people who were actually present. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, as it really helps our channel to grow and give you bigger, better content.